things, as they say. Her head was thrown back, her face red as a beet. Gracie cradled the infant close to her, inhaling the sweet scent of baby. There was nothing like it in the world. It was the best smell ever. And Gracie had smelled a lot of babies. How many had she gone to help other people with? So many she had lost track, if she had ever really been keeping count. "Shh," Gracie murmured. "You're too little to have such big problems." Matthew had taken the casserole dish from the bench and started back through the house. At her words, he stopped but didn't turn around. "Are you coming in, or are you going to put her to bed on the porch?" "Ja, of course." This was not going as she had planned it in her head. She would come to the house, offer him the food, and the two of them would sit down and discuss her proposal like rational people. Matthew Byler seemed far from rational. He seemed downright unhappy. Or maybe it was exhaustion that pulled at the corners of his mouth. Of course he's unhappy and exhausted. His wife just died 3 months ago. "Shut the door," he growled as he continued into the house. Gracie used one foot to close the door behind her and gently bounced the screaming baby. If this was what Matthew had been dealing with before she arrived, she could see why he was so upset that she woke the baby. "Shh, you're gonna be in trouble." She whirled around to find 4 boys, near stair-steps in age, sitting quietly on the couch. The tallest, and probably the oldest, swatted the one next to him. "Hush up, Henry." The Amish might stand against violence, but siblings were siblings. "I don't have to, Stephen." "When Grace is asleep, you do," Stephen retorted. One of the smaller boys slid from the couch. "Thomas, sit down," he continued. "Grace isn't asleep," Henry said. "She will be soon," Stephen replied. "Thomas." The small boy climbed back onto the couch and sat by his brother. They were so close in size that Gracie wondered if they were twins, though they looked nothing alike. She knew from personal experience that didn't mean much. Her own cousins, Hannah and Leah, were twins, and they looked as different as can be. The 4 seemed to be mirrors of each other. Stephen, the oldest, had dark hair like his father, but green eyes she supposed he inherited from his mother. They seemed larger than normal, magnified by the lenses of his black-framed glasses. Thomas was the same without the eyewear. Henry had blonde hair and blue eyes. The eye color had to have come from his father, and if she remembered right, Beth, their mother, had blonde hair too. Benjamin was Henry's mirror, but only in looks. He sat as still as a statue, waiting for something, she supposed. She continued to bounce the baby in a comforting manner, though her screams had quieted to hiccups. Gracie patted the baby on the back, rubbing it in hopes of calming her further. "Thomas!" Stephen chastised. The boy was attempting an escape once again. Stephen grabbed his brother by one suspender and pulled him back into place. Somehow he managed to push his glasses up a little on the bridge of his nose as he did so. "Hey!" Henry protested. He was still sitting between Stephen and Thomas. "Necessary," Stephen grunted. He seemed to have taken on the role of mother and father in his parents' absence. His mother wasn't coming back. But where was his dad? Thomas finally settled back into place next to Benjamin, who Gracie was sure hadn't moved the entire time she'd been standing there. How unusual for a small child to sit still like that for so long. And she couldn't help but wonder if it was in his nature or something else. Stephen had started bossing again, telling Henry to be still, quit picking his nails, and to stop blowing spit bubbles. Where was their father? The baby's hiccups were gone. Gracie looked down at the sweet, sweet face to find that she had finally gone to sleep. She felt warm and solid in Gracie's arms, but she knew she couldn't get too used to the feel, not until she talked to Matthew. And if he agreed, she would be able to hold this baby, be a mother to Stephen so he could go back to being a child, and maybe even have a baby of her own. The mere thought made her sigh. "You okay, lady?" She pulled herself out of her thoughts and centered her attention on Henry. Stephen elbowed him in the ribs. "Don't call her lady." "Why not?" Henry grumbled, shouldering him back. "'Cause it's not nice.